Hello everyone. How's everybody doing today? Let's see if I can get this to happen. Maybe. Focus there, you devil. Nothing, huh? Worked before. Oh well. Shows you how good that stuff works. It works in practice, then it doesn't work when you're doing it live. Good afternoon, everyone. Glad to be with you again, painting a little live something here. Hopefully everything's working out and everything's coming on like it should be. Here, let me see if I got a live feed over here. I do. All right. I'm by myself, so I have to kind of check on things at the beginning of the show. Not as professional as I'd like it, but anyway. Today, we are going to do a fairly ambitious piece. It's a kind of a Key West scene. Oops. I don't even know how that dropped. Kind of a Key West scene here. Let's see if we can see that lit up a little bit. There we go. Key West scene. It's a photo that I took down there and I modified a little bit, made some changes. And I'm going to make some changes when I paint it too. For today's purposes, of course, we're doing a black and white underpainting. So I'm going to do that same piece in black and white. And I went ahead and put it in a black and white mode in Photoshop and then printed it again. And I upped the values on it a little bit. So I made a black and white version of it to go by today. It's a little more dark in values than overall the other one is, the original. But I don't mind because I'm going to put lights back on top. And there's some deep areas that I want to get, so I want to make sure I don't make them too light. So I'd rather err on the side of caution and go a little on the dark side, but with the underpainting, so when I go back on top, I've got something to work with. Now, I already did a sketch here this morning, a light sketch, because it was just too much to try to do a big painting like this. This is some stretcher bar I had left over. I just bought a roll of canvas not too long ago. Thank you, Patreon people, again. And I bought money with my Patreon money, bought canvas with my Patreon money. And anyway, this is a 34 by 40, which is a very odd size, but I happen to have a picture that looked about that size. It was just a little off square. So I decided, hey, it's a perfect marriage right there. So I went in and you can kind of see I traced in like right in here where we've got the palm tree is going to be coming down. There's some leaves going to be cut in front. Over here, you know, you've got an indication of some more palms stuff all in here. There's all kinds of palms ripping their way all through here, and I can just kind of randomly do some of that and come down in and just try to, you know, make that all happen a little bit, just to remind me where I'm going to go when I get to the paint here. So there's some key dark areas back in here by the door. Don't mind how scruffy that is. I'm just trying to get a feel for the stairs and whatnot here. I think I was a little off center before, a little lopsided, level actually is what probably the better word. It wasn't really level with the 90 degree here when I was initially drawing, so I kind of straightened it up there a little bit. And then there's a bunch of colorful bushes and things like that all on the side here. But for today, we're going to be working on this piece. So I'm going to start very, very gingerly today. I'm not going to use this brush a lot, but this is just a regular house painting brush. You can see there's some purple paint that's kind of still embedded in it there a little bit. But I'm not going to worry about that either. First I'm going to take this, and I've already got a lot of line work on it, and I found now that if I just kind of mist around it a little bit, once again, I was kind of lightly wetting the canvas without messing up the pencil lines in there too badly. If I started wiping across that, it would be pretty nasty. But in any case, so I'm going to start in the very back up in here, where there's just a few little bushes and stuff way in the back, way behind here. I'm going to leave this area where the sky is, and you can kind of see some areas in here. I'm going to leave a lot of that white so I can see what's going on. I indicated the curve, so right in between here and here, that's going to be white, this is going to be white. And try to keep in mind where your white areas are going to be up over here, and there's going to be a bunch up in here. But for now, I'm going to pop in just some bushes. This is mostly white right in here. And then right in here, you start getting a little bit of bushes back and back of this. There's the white area right here, and then right back and back here, and back in here. So it's just going to be this little area. I'm barely going to do anything. The first thing I'm going to do is wet my paintbrush. Get her wet. And I'm going to go ahead and dab in there. Woo, hey! See, and you got to watch that stuff. So let me squeegee her off a little bit, shake her off. A little too much water. That's okay, though. And now I'm going to, there we go. That's better. And I'm just going to come in here and just kind of pre-do what I was going to do. in this area anyways. Like I said, it's not a lot of area, but it'll give me another dimension back there, which I really want. Now, I'm going to come over and I'm going to grab just a little teeny corner of that paintbrush. Just a little bit, as little as I can get on there anyway. I'm just going to kind of dab it in there. You can't really see it because of the paper in there. I mean the purple paint in there. But I've got it fairly loosened up here to fairly thin. And I'm going to go so you can kind of see. Let me show you the viscosity here. It's about there. It's fairly thin. And I've got a fairly thin amount on there. And I'm just going to come over here and I'm just going to tap. And I'm going to tap and I'm going to think bushes. I'm thinking bushes. I don't mind if some of it's darker, some of it's lighter, and like I said, I'm thinking bushes back here. I'm just thinking bushes back here, just kind of popping them, thinking how they might sit. Might be more of a tree shape a little bit back there, something like that. And there we go. And maybe a few squeaking off back there. And that's all I want to use this brush for right now. I know it seems like a kind of crazy thing to have to use one brush for, but hey, you got to do what you got to do. Now, what I want to do is I want to kind of work my way forward. So, in front of this, I'm looking, let me look at the color one. The next thing back is, there's another, looks like an indication of another big palm or something back here. And some more bushes in general shape. So I'm just going to go back right now, just take that same paint that was already there, because it's fairly light. And I'm going to indicate some shapes of palms and other things back here. I don't want to kill that white area too much, so let me just stick a kind of a chunk or two up there. And there's not much there, but at least now you've got something that looks like, you know, something going on back in the yard there. All right, so now we're going to keep working our way forward. Sorry, I don't know why I get so tongue-tied when I try to do this live. Usually I'm not as tongue-tied as all that. All right, let's see. I'm looking at it, and I'm going to say the next thing forward, probably just sitting in front of here, there's a branch coming down, and I'm going to let it kind of do its thing. I'm not going to be perfect on it. I don't really care about that. There we go. Just wanted to indicate something there. Dip in a little bit more dark color now on top to throw some ones that are maybe more shaded on top, and maybe do it part of the, ooh, got too much water on there. Got too much water on there. Let me squeeze that out. Let me get back into the paint, thicken that up a little bit. There we go. A little too much water on there. There we go. It's a little better. Still a little too much water, but that's all right. It's still working. And then back here, let's see, right to the edge of this color, this right here, there's a big, let me look here. It's kind of a leaf shape right here by this palm. So I'm actually going to go like this way, and then I come in this way. And so I got myself a leaf there. Then I'm going to cut in this way a little bit right there to give them a stem. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it from the top here and I'm going to fade it down a little bit like that, and do the same thing here. A little less so on that side, keeping that stem, and maybe come across here, come across there a little bit, and just kind of give the feeling of that coming down. I'm going to hit that again in a minute, but right now it's just gonna let it fly like that. Then underneath that there's another leaf, so I'm just going to cut in. I'm going to get some more paint and cut it in fairly dark right here. There we go. And then that other leaf is coming down in here, like that. There's another one in here, so that's fine. And then let's just kind of give that shadow of that leaf, and then the shadow over here of this one coming on that one. The shadow coming down over across of it. And then there's some other leaves. Let's see, kind of get a stem there maybe. Now I'm going to come back in here and hit that stem again. Let me get some more paint. Hit that stem one more time. Just kind of come in there, and just doesn't look like much right now. All right, that's good enough. I'm just trying to work the top background, because there's a lot of stuff. This is really more foreground, but since I'm there and there's nothing really in the way, and it's kind of not crossing over the tree right there, it is down here. I'll do that later, but I'm going to draw that trunk in first so I can draw this across. But meanwhile, that area is not affected, so I'm just going to leave it like that for now, and I will color some of that in with a wash in a little bit. Now on this side, there's a really cool branch. There's once again, well, actually there is some other things in the way. Let's see. Way in the back here, it looks like right across, maybe let's see, here's that doorway. doorway's coming up. And it was somewhere in here. There's a nice dark area where there's like a part of a leaf coming down. Let me bring that down. That's the top of the leaf coming down there. And then we're going to bring another thing in here. And this is actually going to be a big leaf right here. And I'm just putting that there, but give me an anchor point to know where I'm at in here. It gives me a good anchor point and say, okay, that's a good area that I can key off and look at it and say, okay, I know where I got my bearings there now. I've got my bearings a little bit. So, because it's a very, very busy piece in this area. So, back in the back here, it looks like we've got, yeah, there's a plant back here, and really it's mostly light. So what I'm going to do is cut in areas of shadow in between the leaves rather than painting. I'm painting the leaves in the negative, basically, a little bit. And then you just got to kind of feel where there might be shapes of a leaf coming around, like that. And I'm going to pop a lot of that leaf stuff in when I get a, let me get some thin right there. I'm going to go in here now, and I do want to indicate, it's still not quite thin enough, put some more water in there. And I do want to indicate that there's something going on down here as far as the shapes of the leaves and stuff coming. So these are kind of more pointy leaves a little bit, so I'm kind of using the edges of the brush and kind of being light and just trying to get in there and get a feel of positive and negative on the leaves there and bring them all the way down to here, right in there. So, and then maybe a little bit more dark up underneath here because it's, you know, it's going to be more leaves on top, so it's going to get more and more shadow underneath. So I'm going to kind of pop some of that down there. And now we got the feel of some leaves popping down right in over here in the background a little bit. And some of that feeling looks pretty good to put back up in here behind. So let me get a little bit of that and just kind of dab a little. And remember, this is an underpainting, so we're not really as concerned with how accurate it really is. And I can do some of this in back of the leaf, that's fine. I don't mind putting stuff in back. There's going to be a leaf popping over here, but I can indicate some things behind it. And I don't want to go too crazy though. Now, so I got that in there pretty good, and I'm pretty happy about this area here, my key point right there. So now let me go to this big, there's a couple big important leaves. This, let's see, actually in back here, got one more little set, when I'm really looking at it. There's one more little set that's a wash back here. Let me kind of wash this out pretty good. I don't want it to be too soupy. But back here, there's an indication behind this leaf here. There's an indication of some kind of other leaf popping up that's bigger. Back here, some kind of big banana leaf or something coming up. I'll drag that one up. And something back in there. We can bring some of it there, and then maybe bring some of it back down in here. So just indicating once again that there's another like banana leaf or something right here. I don't want it. I got to keep this area white, so I don't want to kill. That's perfect right there. I've got some nice botanical edges in there that I'd like to keep. And I will, and we'll see, of course, then when we paint the real painting, and we'll see. But now I've got more or less enough to bring this one in some. So this one is a little bit more in front here. I'm going to, let's see, this looks pretty good. There's a branch that cuts across it right in here somewhere, so I'm going to kind of indicate that. And then this is very light in here. A lot of this is really light. So what I want to do is just indicate that there's some palm shape in there, just so I can remember. When I go back, I might want to take some of these out so they look a little, there you go. And I can indicate that there's a palm there, that it's going that way. And then this one now kind of comes around in a kind of splays. So I'm going to take my paint, I'm going to push it down, and I'm going to pull it up. And I'm going to do that over and over. Well, once I see it starting to lose a little paint, let me stick a little more on there. And I don't have to do every single leaf blade, and I don't have to do every one of them all the way around. As I get down here now, I can put more that's a little darker, and I can come in here and kind of fill that in a little bit. That kind of looks good. All right, so now you can see stuff is starting to happen here. We're pulling things from the background. I've got my little key area here where there's a dark palm leaf here. And I want to go ahead and go into that area now. This is a part of the back of the leaf right here. And really the stem is running right through there. It's right there. Okay? Now, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and take some dark, because this is a pretty dark leaf here, and I'm going to pull it, I'm going to pull some of these down, make them come down, maybe give a wiggle on one or two, and there you go. Just something there, and then here, and same thing here. You can go like that, and let's see, and then these are kind of coming up, and I don't mind if they wiggle up a little bit there. Okay, now let's get a little dark, make all that work together. In here, I'll come off that stem a little bit, and I'll come off the stem again here, like that, and I'll just kind of come right where the stem is. I'll try to pull some of that off. Okay, so that's good. And then the edges of this branch are going to be lighter, and the way I can kind of indicate that is I can go in here and I can do the negative space. So I can give make these branches continue on by kind of going like this and giving them a little bit of an edge there. And then filling that's a little ridiculous actually. So let's come in a little tighter, like that, and there you go. Now you got a little bit of an edge to some of these, and then I can come fill in all that area once I'm past that. So I can see that there's some light left off of these, and I can kind of indicate that there. Let's go now. This door here, I did not want to go all the way dark on this door because I think it looks kind of boring that way. So what I thought I'd do is I'd put in some windows. So I'm going to put in some like French windows here. So I'm going to put one there, one here that's getting kind of cut off by the edge of the door there. And then we can put another one here, another one here, and there. And we're just going to I can kind of make them bigger, make sure I'm looking at the negative space in between, the white areas. And there we go. And that went that way when I do bring the door in. Let's give me that little base there. That way when I finally do paint that door in, I'm going to put some light coming through. Like there's light coming through, like there's a window back here. So from here, this corner, I'm going to have light coming through. And in order to make sure I remember that, I'm going to kind of indicate it a little bit by, let me get some good dark paint in there. And I'm going to kind of indicate by going to this corner, making that really good, and it's not working. Let's try it again. Let's dip it right into the bucket. Soak it up good. There, let's see what that does. There, that's better. And then I can kind of go like this, and I can kind of make it just get a little lighter here as I'm coming up. And just indicate that there's going to be some light up in here. I'm going to come here for a little bit. There we go. And then we'll indicate that, yeah, like I said, there's going to be an indication of some light there. There's going to be a pretty hard jam right there. All right. Now, I don't want to go too much further over here. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut this big palm branch right here. It's an important one. It kind of intermingles with this other branch. It's hard to say which one's in back of which. They almost kind of intermingle. They're almost at the same level. But meanwhile, I'm going to get that big, and it's a big one, big branch like that. And like I said, I'm not worried about too much. The splay kind of comes out this way a little bit. It's kind of thin, and then as it turns the corner over here, it gets thicker. So I'm going to go a little thicker down in here, kind of make sure those come right on across, kind of intermingle a little bit there. And I'll leave that area open. It's going to indicate some other ones happening there, just a little bit. All right, and then we've got another dark area in here that's mostly dark. So let's just kind of come over and hit some of that. Looks like there's a big trunk right there of some kind. So let me just go ahead and hit that. And I'll indicate the light there on the one side of the trunk. So this is the back side. And then I'll come over here and I'll kind of give some chunky little shapes across. And maybe scooch it down like that a little bit. And then we got at least the look, a little bit of a trunk of something coming down here. And then once again I can throw some more leaves coming on across there. I think I'd like to swoop these over a little bit, maybe kind of go like that a little bit more. That looks good. You got a good area of interest up there. Now there's a roof on this house, of course, somewhere, and it's kind of hidden within, but it's right about here. And so I'm going to indicate bits of the roof just here and there, just so you know there's a roof up there. And I suppose I could maybe, I don't know if they got shingles or whatever, but I could cut some little shapes in there that kind of indicate it's more roofish looking. They use the word roofie. That's a horrible word to use. See, I told you I mumble a lot. Well, you know, you talk to yourself when you paint, so you don't really pay attention to how well you're enunciating things. All right, now I'm going to go over to this side, and we've got a bunch of stuff going on in the back here. And it's, once again, very light. I'm going to kind of go medium tone here, but it's a kind of a lighter bits of palm, kind of like, you know, the way we approach this. I'm going to kind of do the same thing. And it starts way up here, and it's very light, so I'm just going to, oop, that's a little fat for me, so let me thin that out, brush out by chiseling the edge, squishing it down on a piece of paper there, and get a little more of a chisel edge on there. Let's try that again. Where was I? Oh yeah, up in here. So I'm just going to kind of give some light and get some more water there. Try to chisel that edge up. There we go. There we go. And I'm just going to indicate all kinds of little palms coming in there, and I already did some drawing there, so I kind of know more or less where I want a lot of my shapes going here. And if you hit a bad stroke like that, don't worry about it. Palm branches run together. They're not all perfectly. They split, they fray. I'm not worried about perfection. There's no perfection out there as far as this kind of stuff goes. Organic, go out and look at your yard. See how much stuff there is mixed in with the, see how much dead stuff there's mixed in with the live stuff. Now this looks like a pretty good strong area to start putting in some darks, because most of this, like I said again, is light, mostly. Let's see, there's a branch coming off here, and we can kind of, now what I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to kind of pull down a little bit this way, so it's a little more horse feathery looking, and then pull down. Do that, and then we got a little bit more of the other side and back that's kind of just dumping on it right there. All right. And then once again, we'll go in and we'll try to indicate, let's see here. Well, there's a pole over here. There's a pole that's right in the way right here. That's what this is right here. So let's take that. That's kind of like a, almost like a, really like a pillar of sorts. And then there's a gap in between. So we kind of grab that and just pull it down. There's the gap in between, and there's some other light stuff coming up over there. And then we've got another indication of something here, but I want to kind of make sure I'm cutting some of that off, so we can get the other edge of it right down here maybe. Right there, and then we can pull some of that. So I know that there's, this way I know that there's things coming up over this area back here. Now remember before I promised to wash out an area for you and fill it in? Well, that's what I'm going to do over here right now. I'm just going to kind of come wash this area in. I'm just going to wash it back in here. And that way I've got my darker tone there that I wanted to begin with. So there's that. And we could maybe even go backwards on that and hit a little light across it. Spill some light in there. There you go. All right. So we're starting to shape our way forward. It's looking pretty good. I'm going to take a quick break and see who's watching and who's chimed in and whatnot. Let's go over here. All right, got a few people watching today, not as many as I've had before, but that's okay. I'm doing this because I got to do the painting anyway, and I figure I might as well do it live. All right. Now, we've got a lot of indication of stuff in here. Now, we've got a big dark area, and then this is popping off. So I'm going to negative space all that stuff. And I'm going to do it fairly dark because it's pretty strong right there. So there's an indication over here of the edge of the palm tree. And then here, I'm just going to try to make sure that I'm keeping in mind that there's some plants happening here. There's all kinds of stuff happening all in here, all in there, all in here. Now I'm going to go back up in this area here where it was, you know, looking pretty, let me fill that in right there. And I'm going to get a little edge. And now I'm going to go right in here, and I'm going to start filling in all this dark area in here where, oh, I just killed that. What did I do? I just went the wrong way. Well, that was brilliant. Well, I just made an error there, was what I just did, and that happens to you sometimes. Sometimes you forget what you're doing, And that's okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to kind of take some of that out and wipe it back out, because that was a mistake. And you can still do it while it's wet. Get another little towel there. Come wipe it, and it won't be perfect, but at least I won't have ruined it the way I had it there, because I don't want to lose that area, and I can't just like fix that. So I kind of erased a little bit there. That's all right. I can still kind of see where I was with the negative space. So these things are popping up again, like that, like this, like that, like that, like that. I'm going to fill in this area. Hello, hello. And fill in that area. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. I filled in the wrong area before, but that's okay. Now at least you can see how to fix it real quick when you're doing the underpainting. That's why you do the underpainting. So now I can see where the top of that is. I kind of blew that a little bit, but that's all right. And some of that's, of course, a little stronger in there and whatnot. Now I'm going to go ahead and back in here. There's some more palm action back here. I've got very little paint left on the brush, so I'm just going to go ahead and indicate shapes of things and things like that. Because once again, it's underpainting. I'm just trying to get an idea of where I'm at. All right, now I'm going to go with this tree trunk, and it's actually darkest in the middle. So I'm going to go to the middle, and I'm not going to be totally even with all my strokes and all that again. Let me kind of grab some more paint here. I'm going to go in a little bit in the middle. Sometimes turn your brush this way, sometimes turn that way. Do it fast, do double strokes, whatever. And there we go. Now I'm going to rinse that brush out pretty good. Get some of the water off it. I'm just going to come over here because this is still dark over here. And once again, I'm going to kind of try to be a little more random about how I do the strokes a little bit. Like that. And I can come back in over and clean it up a little bit. There we go. There we go. And I don't mind if those edges are a little rough. This edge is much lighter, so I'm just going to kind of do strokes that go like this. That kind of indicate that there's something coming around a little bit, and there's a little bit of darkness in here a little bit. But I don't want to go too far with any of it. I want to make sure I keep that light over there. I'm going to keep all this light on the edge. Now how I'm going to make that other edge appear is by coming over in here, and now I've got a lot of stuff happening in back here, so I kind of want to pay attention to what's behind it and be harmonious with it and make it look like it all fits, which I will make it do. But I don't want to go with just one big line down there. That would look dumb. That wouldn't look right. Okay, so now we've got the indication that that trunk is right there. Now there are some big leaves and whatnot. I'm going to keep these kind of loose a little bit. A little bit of about a medium mix of viscosity here. And then we've got some indicators of some leaves all in through here. There's a great big one that comes across right over in here. And it can be a little on the dark side. That's fine. We can hit the bottom side of that. That's all right. We'll hit that in a minute. And then I want a shape in here. There. Okay. And then there's a big one coming down here. It's kind of an interesting shape. And I'll kind of cut some negative spaces in there too. And I'll come over here, and I got to watch this area. So I'll just kind of let that be like that. Now, let me get a little bit of this pure black again, and then come over here and indicate some areas in here where it's, stuff's underneath, where the leaves are coming on top here a little bit more. So this is a little bit, and then maybe have some trunks of things and things like that back in here. This one now, I want this bottom leaf to go all the way up over, and it's going to cut right up over the whole part of that palm tree right there. And that's fine. I want maybe some of that too. Maybe the tip of this one. And that way that indicates that that stuff's all in the front here. Once again, I'll go in at the end, and I'm going to cut a stem and cut some shapes to the leaves and some stems and things just like that real quick, just to indicate that we've got stuff going on. Now back in here again, I'm going to go down here, and we're going to pop again some negative shapes in here. So there's a leaf right here, so I'm going to come around it and pop it in that way. There's one right here, I'm going to pop it in that way. I'll leave this for a leaf right here, up in here, and make another one right there, and then just kind of come around and do a little bit of this and that. And we've got some shapes coming in here that look pretty good. That's it. And I don't want to get too crazy with any of that. I just want to indicate that there's some other things going on over there. All right? Now, we've got a dark area kind of over by where these pillars are. There's like a big leaf that comes down, and once again, I'm going to pull the leaf this way because it's kind of more banana leafish shape. And I'm going to indicate that it's coming over. And I'm going to do like a another one down low here, and just have some dark things in there. And then in here, I'm just going to kind of come in. I'm going to start lightly putting in little bits of gray here in the back. Try to gray in some of this, and try to just get the feel that I don't want to kill the light now, but I just want to come in there and get some feel that there's some other things happening back there besides just white areas. Over in here now, we've got a little, looks like right in here we got some interesting areas I'm going to want to pop out. So I'm just going to throw some random darks in here just to do it, and then when we throw things in at the end, it'll look really cool. All right, now, let's see. All right, we've got the doorway working now. I'm going to go over here to the stairwell area, and it looks like, let's see, we got a cut right here, and then there, there. That's all right. I got to kind of cut in the shape of the step there a little bit. There it is. There. And there's some shadow coming across, and it's darker over here. So I can get a little wash that out a little bit, bring some of that in over here, make it kind of feathery. Come over here. Now there's little plants and stuff. I can put little plants on the porch and things like that, and I might want to do that. So indicate that there's stuff here on the porch, and that there's more activity going on here with some branches and things like that. Looks like here, and yeah. And then you got a couple of big round leaves coming in here. Maybe have one of those cut way back here and up under. There we go. And there should be maybe a little indication of a trunk or something coming up there. There we go. And then something here. And then there's like a window or something square back here. So let's just kind of give a little indication that there's a window or something more architectural back there, right here. Whoop. And that's fine. And then off of this edge, I also want to do the same, and we'll think negative again. Have some of it come over, a piece or two come over, and that's it. And then I'm going to bring that dark up underneath there where that's all this little bit darker. Kind of come in here and just really lightly, just kind of brush real quick and dirty over here. Just try to get that a little bit of a tone back in there. There's going to be a little bit of a tone here on this pillar and whatnot. And there's probably going to be some shadows coming off the top of that pillar up in here. So I'm going to go ahead and indicate some things happening down in there. Maybe off the top of this pillar. And then back in here, this is probably mostly going to be darker back in there. And see, that looks pretty interesting. Now you're kind of going in here. It's kind of taking you in there. And that's what I want. Okay, so I'm going to go now with the, let's see, the back. We've got some more background here. These are all just, I'm going to be just very cautious about how I do some of this, because I don't really want to go too crazy with all, there's so much going on. So I'm just going to kind of indicate with shapes and stuff like that, kind of like I've already done with the sketch, where there's things that are happening down here, but I don't want to go, too crazy all there, because it's going to be, I'm going to paint something in over the top of it, and I want to make sure it's looks right. So what I'm going to do is try to key in on some dark areas right in, let's see, there's like a little area right in here where you're going to have some of the stuff that's coming up right here. There's some negative space underneath it. That, and there's going to be some random dark spots coming up through. Some things coming over here and there that are darker, dangling. And then we got another big leaf coming over here. And this one kind of does a little something there. There you go. And some bushes or something right there. All right. Now there's another set of bushes and leaves that are brightened again in here. So I want to kind of indicate again that this is darker down in here, right here in back of it. And then there's a lighter area over here that also has some things going on. So all that's all kind of light. Now, that's kind of got most of the key light areas, most of them. Now, and then we've got the sidewalk here, and here we've got, I'm going to pull that brush up like that to where it's indicating more of like a little something that's growing there. That's fine. And the same thing on this side, just a little bit, just to indicate what's going on. Now I'm going to come over, and there's a dark area in here that's going to be, and it doesn't all stay clean and white and clear. So there's an area over here And there's going to be, let's say, an interesting shape or two of something. Let's do something thinner. Shape like that, and then come in and let's kill some of that there, like it's a leaf, and then bring some of this up above it. And then once again, I'm just going to kind of go in here and give myself some dark areas to work off of. I don't want them all to be uniform. Once again, there's some bigger plants or something over here, some other things coming up over here, and I'm just going to kind of rumble around in there and not go too crazy. But there we are. And you've got a whole bunch of plants looking like they're there now. Now let's go over here on this side, and we're getting ready to kind of wrap some things up here. Now there's a big leaf. We said there's a couple big leaves coming down here. This one here actually has a shadow coming off of it, which is kind of interesting. So I'm going to kind of make that happen. And then we're going to have the other leaf come up this way. I want to stuff it back of it. And then there's other things jutting across. Let me get some water. Let me get some more paint. And there's a couple of darker areas in here. Let's kind of work negative again. Right there a little bit. And then kind of go this way. And we're going to throw some palms and whatnot, little leaves and fronds coming in down here. Right there on that edge. Okay. Over here we've got another little set of fronds kind of coming up over here. It's kind of coming up and blocking a lot of that area. And then another set right near there. It's kind of coming up right over here. There you go. And then you got all kinds of miscellaneous stuff. Now here, there's all kinds of little spider plants on the bottom here. And so I'm going to kind of just indicate, just real light little indications. I'm just going to try to be very, very careful about how I do it. But have little indications of the spider plants being there. Just something. Just a little something. And down when they're getting down towards the bottom, I'll have a little bit more darkness and whatnot. But they're at least now I've got some indication that there's a little, what kind of plants are there and what their shape is like roughly, and how light or dark are they. There's going to be some shadow up under some of them up in here, and then some of them are going to be backing up on shadows in here and in there, and there we go. And now this area in here is mostly dark. There's some light area in the top part here, but this part here is pretty dark. So I'm going to go with a lot of dark paint in here, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to cut some negative stuff that I've already sketched, and just kind of come in there like that. I'm not going to be real detailed with it again. Once again, no point in that. Like that. Come over here. There's some more big guys down in here, and then up in here there's a little bit more light and things like that. So I'm going to let that be. We'll give some shapes of bushes and stuff back in here, and then it's going to get darker and darker as we work our way here. And I'm just going to slap this around, just slapping it around, just to kind of give us a nice feel of energy and bushes and stuff there. Now there's one last little plant kind of popping in here, and I'm going to make sure that I've got an indication that that guy's going to be over here somewhere. Okay, there he is. Now, the sidewalk, there's very little there. Let me get a big wash. Let me really wash this out. I'm going to wash some shadows across, and wash them across, and let me get some water now, and just kind of wash all that in like this a little bit. Now we got some shadows on the walk a little bit. Let me go back here and get some of the light back in, and maybe I can indicate some shapes of bricks and things like this real quick, and then just scuff back over it, and it will look a little bit more walkway-ish. And let's see now, that's pretty good. Now what I want to do now is just kind of go over and just tone in some of the things a little bit so we get a little bit more, you see here, it's a little too dark, so we get a little bit more an indicator of where the lights and darks are in the overall piece. So there's not going to be a lot of light in this area, so I'm mostly going to kill all that right there. There's not a lot of light on this trunk, so I'm going to come right here, and I'm going to go right down the middle of it, and I'm not going to kill that one edge, and I'm just going to kind of keep hitting the water here. This all is a little bit darker. Some of this is not as light and bright and lit. There is some over here to the side that is, but not too much over here. So I'm just going to kind of keep doing that, kind of keep coming over and working in more and more tone. Basically, I'm starting to tone things up a little bit. Down here, we have some bright, so I don't want to kill anything, but I want to make sure that I've got some little midtones mixed in there a little bit. You got to be very careful right there, because you don't want to kill the lights. Light in the piece. You don't want to do that. So, now, over here, a lot of this is all dark over here. A a lot of this over here. We've got some more bushes, we got some stuff happening in here, and we can just kind of rough that in. And then let me kind of get almost all this, almost all of it over here. Very little of this is lit up all the way. So let me indicate that. By coming over here, let's see, there's a good dark area here. And just come over here and just kind of darken it up. I can kind of keep with some of the shapes that are underneath. And then I'm going to leave a little light right there, maybe leave a little light spilling through here and there. A little darker right there. And you got maybe a little bit of mid-tones working in some of that there. All right. Now I'm going to go back one more time over the door area, because most of this is in the shadow. So let me, oops, a little too much. That's all right. It's all right. Just go over the whole thing. I can leave a little light at the bottom there, and I'm going to leave that light with the where the plan is. But there we go. And then some of this, like I said, some of this over here is going to be in the shadow. There's a shadow kind of here, and the shadow come down here. We can hit that again. We can hit some more shadow. Big shadow coming across here. Let's do it again. There we go. And another one right there. I don't mind. Mix that in. Feather it off. Feather it off real fast. And there we go. And I'd say overall that is really pretty close to what we need. The final painting that we're doing is this one right here. And you can see what I did over here. And there's the piece that we're doing. And one more time, there's the piece that we did today. Alrighty, well, I want to thank you so much for joining me again today. I didn't seem to have to react with a lot of people today, and that's okay. It's hard for me to do that anyway. But you can kind of see that I've got a good foundation for the feel of the piece, what's going on, how things are going to flow into here. And I think overall, I'm pretty doggone happy with it. I think that's pretty good. How much time do we have in? We're about 40 minutes worth of painting. That's about right for a big piece like this. The underpainting is probably going to take double that, so we're looking at about 80, 90 minutes on Friday. I'll try to be quicker than that, of course, if I can. But meanwhile, I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me a little bit today. And we will see you guys on Friday at 4 p.m. And I will color this bad boy in, and we're going to have fun doing it. All right, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Still didn't work. Bye now.